had to take a second to talk about the event itself. It was fantastic. We had to have DIU, identify the Pacific Northwest as a place for this kind of work. In particular, the topics that we addressed. We had wonderful partnership with New Space New Mexico. That's what they were back then. Not anymore. And I could not have imagined if the Economic Development Agency of the city of Redmond, One Redmond, and the city of Kent were not involved. They were critically supportive in making this happen. It was at the Museum of Flight, which is a treasure in Seattle. If you've ever get to go to Seattle, haven't been, get there. We had Rob Meyerson, former president of Blue Origin and founder of Delilune Space, give a keynote. We had an industry panel and a wonderful reception that brought together the participants in the workshop with other folks who are part of the space industry in Seattle. Next. Okay, I'm going to go through the outbrief from the two sessions, Advanced Power and Propulsion and Hybrid Space Architecture. Unfortunately, our chairs aren't. And one of the things that I think you'll find is, key themes that are common across both places, ensuring that we've got the right inputs to be able to innovate and deliver the future of both these domains of technology. That goes to capital, that goes to human capital, that goes to materials and resources and the industrial base itself. And the fact that we need to do it before our adversaries do. So when looking back 12 months, for things in power and propulsion that were key, participants felt that there was this cultural shift in progress, that things, especially nuclear, were starting to gain attention and they were starting to get more real. And the more real extends to the demonstrations that are in progress, that the making strides in a meaningful way, and that policy is maturing along with that. One of the things that's a significant issue as identified by the group was that there's got to be a kind of a tipping point, right? Because you've got this gap between the interest and the demand that leaves companies in a little bit of a catch-22 when, there's interest in investment, but there's no demonstration. So give me the demonstration, then we'll get you the funding. Well, we need the funding to get the demonstration. So there's a little bit of that going on. One of the things that they also identified was a need to move away from very prescriptive requirements and solicitations that don't allow for industry to innovate, right? Kind of tell me what instead of give me this, that, and the other thing, right? Give me a defined solution, solve this problem, give me a capability. We'll hear about that later as well. And there was also identification that the economic instability, supply chain issues, and supply chain of talent were also, friction points that were allowing for less progress than could be if it was alleviated. Inflection points, as you might think, when you have a catch-22 that demands a demonstration, get that demonstration and show that technologies, in particular fission and fusion, can be used for the purposes off-world. And another place is, where's that tipping point for demand, right? If you've got Starship lifting up bigger and bigger payloads with more and more power requirements, maybe that's going to drive more investment in the space. Definitely, looking down the road for what Artemis would need for lunar settlement, et cetera, that would be good demand. Has a fear factor associated with it. Something bad happening could be a tipping point in the wrong direction. Adversaries moving first as well, and cutting of programs that support advanced power and propulsion would effectively, cede the ground without even giving a fight. So in terms of near term, midterm, long term, there was definitely interest in trying to improve funding pathways. SSIB and STTR were called out, increasing the flexibility in contracting and solicitation, getting that policy clarity in place is another clear piece of the puzzle. The FAA having rules around nuclear commercial launch finalized will be enabling. And also thinking, and I've heard it, at these sessions about critical infrastructure, thinking about the strategic materials that are needed for advanced power and propulsion, and having the right kind of investment and oversight of that, as well as access to facilities such as Idaho National Laboratory and related laboratories. Next. In the 3 to 5 year range, looking for those demand signals that will ensure that you've got the investment coming in, that you can do the demo missions and sustain them over time, and treating that propulsion infrastructure as a critical infrastructure, getting certain kinds of uranium enrichment more commercialized, incentivizing that, and expanding the production capacity for propellants like hydrogen, and making sure that we have enough of that. Also, not an unfamiliar thing, improving the workforce development programs and speeding clearances, right? Getting more people into the field to make things happen faster. In the long term, having confidence around the demand again came up, and the group highlighted the ability to take foreign investment as something that could help. It may take time. Streamlining government processing across the licensing as well as immigration, and making academic partnerships effective so that you've got the flow of students coming in as a longer term thing, and making sure that that North Star vision is in place around settlement, because that's going to be where you drive a lot of your requirements. How am I doing? I'm a little bit over. I'll move faster. So hybrid space architecture, that working group, a lot of kind of similar points. Next slide. Yeah. Significant events included SDA's launch schedule, the Tranche 0 launches, and the Tranche 2 scheduling. We've seen a lot more adversarial actors taking shots at the communication infrastructure, and standards starting to make progress that will change the game down the road for what's possible with satellites and the outer net. Next. So the group broke down these key items: interoperability, needing to be able to have standards that fuel innovation but don't hold you back, standardized test beds, things that and programs that will incentivize and reward interoperability. And again, the notion of don't tell me to build a particular thing. Tell me what your problem is, and I will innovate to solve it. This group thought that SSIB was broken. And that new funding models that were more dynamic and geared to the future are important. Positive inflection points when you can get interoperable intersatellite networking at scale, that's going to be a big difference. And when satellite to cell becomes highly reliable and commonplace, it will give everybody access to the internet, and that can really change the world. And again, it's bad if our adversaries get there first. So this group saw near, mid, and long-term payoffs within interoperability, and look for a major policy decision summit that will address network interoperability and some of these pain points that were highlighted. The mid-range is going to be about ensuring that those requirements are embedded as part of programs that are built, and a shift in the funding out of R&D into O&M to improve fluidity. And then the long term, get more of the O&M budget into the end user groups. So in this notion of buying a service versus buying a platform, near term, just what I said, describe the problem, let industry create the solution, and decentralize a little bit, let junior level tactical leadership make decisions and procure solutions. Again, in the midterm, more flexibility requires a little bit of a mind shift to accept duplication if you've got to move fast. At Amazon, I think Jeff Bezos said, 2 things is better than no things if you're trying to get to market quick. And then in the long term, it's about the responsiveness and the budgetary process and agile procurement. That'll wrap it up for us. I think we're a little bit over, but thanks so much.